I personally thought this article that Meghan Markle wrote really over the top. It was like the word she used, it was just a bit of attention seeking for somebody that I believe is very insecure through her, background. And she has to draw attention to herself like she's the only one that's had a miscarriage. My daughter had a miscarriage when she was on IVF and then took 5 more years to get pregnant. And I don't understand about this thing that you can't tell anybody that you're pregnant after until you're 3 months. Is ridiculous. You do what you like. If you want to tell your
But people don't know.
Family.
That's the point. And it takes pioneers, people like Meghan, who have a platform and a spotlight. I mean, I'm interested. Have you actually read the article?
No, I heard it read over the radio.
Right, because in the article, Meghan makes the point that the reason that she's speaking out is to facilitate those conversations amongst people who maybe they aren't able to speak openly about what's happened to them, and to give anybody who hasn't been affected by miscarriage more empathy and more understanding of what it's like. So she's very much not making it about her. And I wonder, the first thing that I thought when I heard about this article was, we have these royal women for whom the media are utterly obsessed. Everything they do, Kate Middleton gets a fringe and it generates headlines. We're obsessed with everything they do. And it feels to me that Meghan with this, and also when Diana spoke about her bulimia, it was a kind of, okay, if you really want to know, this is what's been going on with me. It almost represents a kind of a breaking point. Then for people to say that it's too much information seems to me to be the height of hypocrisy. Do you think there's anything in that?
Well, the fact that she's openly said about, this miscarriage, that there is hypocrisy around it.
I think it's...
I find Meghan Markle a very, very insecure person, and I think that she's quite controlling. And
what are you basing that on, Brenda?
I base it on very similar situation to my son, who married a very insecure lady, a girl, and I see so many similarities in Meghan and Harry. Harry is in a situation now which is completely foreign to what he had in a Hollywood, Hollywood setup, money orientated, and you look back and see Meghan, I didn't see one time when she wasn't grabbing hold of his hand or she wasn't had her hand on his back, sort of moving him forward, that she is in control. And I think that this article was, I felt it quite sickly, to be honest.
Okay, Brenda, well, clearly not a fan of Meghan. I have to say, it's like we have learned nothing from what happened with Princess Diana, that we have these people who speculate based on whether or not somebody is holding hands from the front or the back. That's a famous trope that body language so-called experts refer to, who take a gazillion pictures of these women and create these narratives about them being controlling and jealous and attention-seeking. It's like reminiscent of medieval witchcraft. They'd be burned if they lived in a different century. And then these kind of passive, noble men that we imagine that they've bewitched. And we are obsessed with them to the extent that, in the case of Diana, she died. In the case of Meghan, there is so much speculation about this woman. And when you take away all of the gossip and the hearsay, I cannot see that Meghan Markle stands for anything other than good. She's a feminist. She believes in equality. She's spoken about Black Lives Matter. It seems to me that she just wants everybody's lives to be a little bit better, including her husband Harry's. I've got a lot of time for Meghan Markle. I'm not a royalist by any stretch of the imagination. Do I think that taxpayers' money could be spent better than on the royal family? Yes, of course I do. But we have a royal family. This is the situation we find ourselves in. And that young generation, Kate, Wills, Harry, Meghan, considering the amount of media spotlight that they have to endure, have made really intelligent use of it, backing causes like, for example, mental health. So, Yeah, if you're going to come at me with this anti-Meghan sentiment, you had better be match fit.
When Natasha Devon confronted caller Brenda's dismissive remarks about Meghan Markle's poignant miscarriage disclosure, she delivered a powerful rebuttal that cut through the typical tabloid noise. Devon's response wasn't just a defense of Markle, but a broader advocacy for destigmatizing reproductive grief, emphasizing that sharing personal trauma serves a critical societal purpose. By highlighting the importance of open dialogue, Devon challenged the toxic narrative that women's pain is somehow performative or attention-seeking, instead positioning Markle's vulnerability as a courageous act that could help countless women feel less isolated in their own experiences of loss. Her articulate defense underscored a fundamental truth. Speaking candidly about miscarriage isn't about sensationalism, but about creating compassionate spaces for healing and mutual understanding. Celebrity, grief, and the public eye. Meghan Markle's vulnerable narrative. The caller's dismissive stance toward Meghan Markle's deeply personal article about miscarriage betrays a fundamental misunderstanding of the power of shared vulnerability. By claiming her words were over the top and merely an attempt at attention-seeking, the caller reveals a troubling reluctance to acknowledge the profound emotional labor required to publicly discuss such a devastating personal experience. The accusation that Markle believes she's the only one that's had a miscarriage grossly mischaracterizes the intention behind her narrative, which was never about claiming unique suffering, but about creating a compassionate space for collective healing and reducing the stigma surrounding pregnancy loss. Such criticism fundamentally misses the point of her courageous act of sharing, which serves not to center herself, but to provide comfort and recognition for millions of women who have endured similar silent grief. Meghan Markle, breaking the silence on miscarriage. When Natasha Devon eloquently defended Meghan Markle's powerful New York Times op-ed about her miscarriage, she cut through the noise of baseless criticism with surgical precision. Devon's response to caller Brenda's accusation of attention-seeking was a nuanced and compassionate reframe of Markle's true intention to facilitate critical conversations about a deeply personal and often silenced experience of loss. By sharing her own vulnerability, Markle wasn't seeking spotlight, but creating a compassionate platform for millions of women who suffer silently, transforming private grief into a collective moment of understanding and support. Devon understood that Markle's brave narrative wasn't about herself, but about breaking societal stigmas and providing emotional validation for those who have endured the profound trauma of pregnancy loss. The Duke and Duchess, a media maelstrom of speculation and insecurity. The caller's scathing assessment cuts deep, characterizing Meghan Markle as profoundly insecure, a narrative that seems to cast Prince Harry as an unwitting participant trapped in a complex personal and public dynamics. Her remarks suggest that the Duke of Sussex has navigated himself into an increasingly precarious position, seemingly caught between his wife's high-profile persona and the relentless British media scrutiny that has defined their relationship since their controversial departure from royal duties. The language implies a sense of sympathy for Harry, painting him as somewhat of a reluctant protagonist in a drama not entirely of his own making, while simultaneously suggesting that Meghan's perceived need for attention and validation has potentially compromised their familial and public standing. Healing hearts, breaking the silence on miscarriage. The profound silence surrounding miscarriage perpetuates a deeply isolating experience for millions of women, making Meghan Markle's courageous public disclosure a watershed moment in transforming societal understanding. By vulnerably sharing her own traumatic loss, she illuminates a deeply personal, yet universally experienced form of grief that historically has been shrouded in shame, secrecy, and unspoken pain. Her transparency challenges the cultural tendency to minimize pregnancy loss, offering a powerful platform for those who have suffered in silence to feel validated, understood, and less alone in their mourning. Through her narrative, Markle not only humanizes a clinical medical event, but reframes miscarriage as a deeply emotional journey that deserves compassion, open dialogue, and collective support, thereby dismantling harmful stigmas that have long prevented meaningful conversations about reproductive health and emotional healing. The healing power of shared vulnerability. Meghan Markle's miscarriage narrative. The profound isolation of experiencing a miscarriage can be emotionally devastating, creating a silent grief that frequently goes unacknowledged in public discourse. By courageously sharing her deeply personal experience of loss, Meghan Markle transformed what could have been a private moment of pain into a powerful platform of collective healing and understanding. Her willingness to speak openly about the raw, emotional landscape of miscarriage provides a compassionate lifeline to countless individuals who have suffered similar, often unspoken, traumatic experiences, breaking through the suffocating societal silence that has historically surrounded pregnancy loss. Through her vulnerability, Markle offers more than just a personal narrative. She creates a supportive space where those who have experienced such profound grief can feel seen, validated, and fundamentally less alone in their journey of healing and resilience. Breaking the silence. Meghan Markle's courageous narrative on miscarriage. In a society that often shrouds miscarriage in silence and shame, Meghan Markle's candid and vulnerable account serves as a powerful challenge to deeply ingrained societal stigmas. By publicly sharing her personal experience of loss, she disrupts the pervasive narrative that miscarriages are somehow private, shameful experiences to be endured in isolation. Her brave disclosure not only humanizes a profoundly painful experience shared by countless women, but also provides a critical platform for open dialogue about a topic historically dismissed or minimized. Through her articulate and emotionally resonant storytelling, Markle transforms personal tragedy into a collective moment of recognition, inviting women to acknowledge their grief, validate their experiences, and understand that their suffering is neither unique nor a source of personal failure. Her vulnerability becomes a form of social activism, systematically dismantling the harmful misconceptions and silent suffering that have long surrounded pregnancy loss. The power of vulnerability, healing through shared experiences. By courageously sharing her deeply personal miscarriage experience, Meghan Markle does far more than seek attention. She creates a critical platform for transforming societal understanding and support around pregnancy loss. Her narrative serves as a powerful catalyst for policy changes, challenging the pervasive silence that has historically surrounded miscarriage and forcing public discourse to acknowledge the profound emotional and psychological impact experienced by countless individuals. Through her vulnerability, Markle provides a voice for those who have suffered in isolation, offering validation and hope while simultaneously advocating for improved medical, psychological, and workplace support systems for individuals navigating the complex emotional landscape of pregnancy loss. Breaking the silence. Meghan Markle's journey of healing and empowerment. Markle's courageous decision to share her deeply personal experience of miscarriage transcends mere storytelling. It represents a profound act of resilience that illuminates the often hidden emotional landscape of pregnancy loss. By vulnerably articulating her pain, she breaks through societal stigma and creates a powerful platform for those who have silently suffered similar traumatic experiences. Her narrative is not about seeking attention, but about creating meaningful connection and understanding, demonstrating that vulnerability can be an extraordinary form of strength. Through her openness, Markle offers a compassionate roadmap for others navigating grief, showing that speaking one's truth can be transformative, healing, and ultimately empowering for both the individual and the broader community struggling with shared experiences of loss. Meghan Markle's brave advocacy, breaking the silence on miscarriage. In supporting Meghan Markle's candid narrative about her miscarriage experience, Natasha Devon demonstrates the critical importance of destigmatizing conversations around pregnancy loss. Devon's passionate defense highlights that sharing personal trauma isn't about seeking attention, but about creating compassionate spaces where women can process their grief and find collective understanding. By validating Markle's decision to speak openly, Devon underscores the ongoing necessity of dismantling societal taboos surrounding miscarriage, ensuring that future generations of women feel empowered to share their experiences without shame or judgment. The continued efforts to normalize these difficult conversations are not just supportive but transformative, offering healing and recognition to countless individuals who have endured similar silent struggles.